You ever walked into a room and felt the temperature drop? Not because the AC is on, but because you just walked in and you feel like you're being surveilled. You know, the feeling of mentally checking your posture, your tone, your hair before you even say hello. It's a frantic need to be so thoroughly prepared, so grounded in your competence and meticulous in your delivery that there isn't any room for them to dismiss you or to question why you're there. Just so that you feel like you get the basic respect that others get just by them existing. You know, that's a heavy way to live. It's a performance that drains your battery and it will drain you before your day even starts. Today, I want to talk about why in midlife we're done with that tax, with paying that tax. I want to talk about building a sense of self that doesn't require external approval. I want to talk about what I have heard being called midlife calibration. And it's where we stop shrinking to fit into spaces that really were never built to hold us anyway. So let's get into how we stay whole in a world that does its level best to try and break us into a million bajillion tiny pieces. So hi, I am Minty Ray, and this is The Inner Room. It's our space for the unfiltered, the messy learning, and the beautiful magic that comes out of that learning, all that happens in midlife. Together, we're here to hold space for our growth and for the wisdom that comes through growth transitions. It is true that if you aren't growing, if you're not growing even slightly, then you're dying on the vine. So I'm holding space for you to have more ease in your life now. So I'm glad you're here. Subscribe if you're in menopause or in midlife. My gosh, that's cold. Or if you know or love someone who is. So let's talk about what it's called midlife calibration. How many times have you felt that frantic need to be so precise and so skilled that you can leave them with zero room to find fault in your character or in your work? Lord, I remember those days. And I hope we can get past that. And you do it all just to get, basic respect. Like I said, respect that others are already getting just because they are existing. And how often have you lived under surveillance in your own spaces? Obviously places like work spaces, but places like the grocery store, parks, just any public spaces. And you carry the weight of knowing that your mistakes are weighed differently than other folks' mistakes. And there's a pressure to be perfectly aligned with every rule and standard so that you can't be criticized. And that really just becomes a heavy task. Yet we do it. And living this way can feel like performance it doesn't feel like living. It certainly is not thriving. So why are we now in midlife ready to calibrate through all of this? or to finally get ourselves where we're, it's like our bodies are just over it. So let's do some calibrating so that we can start living a life that we love. And why are we calibrating now in midlife? Because we tired, and we realize that overperforming to prove our worth is a debt that you really can never pay. You never can get that paid off. And so we're finally redirecting that energy back into ourselves, as we should. So I hope we start to see that if we don't hold space for ourselves, if we don't have spaces like this, no one else is going to do it. It's a notion that I learned long ago, that you really have to save yourself because no one else is coming. And I hope I can encourage you to clear the things that are blocking you so that you can live a life that you love. Now, that might sound bleak, and I mean, sometimes I can be in my nature, my desire to go deep on a subject. But there is significant relief in not waiting to be saved, but doing the work to save yourself. And it's literally, and I'm not talking about no bootstrapping thing. I keep hearing this talk about, you need to just pull yourself up by the bootstrap. I'm not really talking about that. I'm just literally saying, look to yourself to build your self-esteem. Look to yourself to care for yourself, because there's nobody coming to do that. And there's significant relief in not waiting for someone else to save you. And it's literally doing the thing that, here's how you start. You literally start doing the thing that you think you might love. If you think you might love it, start doing that. And getting that clarity is the moment that the weight from your shoulders will start to lift. When you realize no one is coming to save you, you also realize no one has the power to stop you. You stop waiting for a permission slip that cannot be signed by anyone else. And the burden of waiting for a hero is replaced by the steady power of becoming your own hero. You can still know that there are good folks out there, because there are. You can still accept help, and you should. But know that the deepest work that gets done for you, that deepest work gets done by you. When your self-esteem is strong, when you truly know and accept who you are, that becomes your anchor. That allows you to stand firm. Knowing and accepting who you are allows you to speak your truth. You won't believe the confidence that I've gained just in these past several weeks of posting here. Now, I remain a work in progress like anyone, but building your confidence, doing something that you just think that you love, will give you the strength to finally contribute your unique perspective without feeling the need to apologize for it. You've earned that. Midlife is the beginning of your last hurrah. It's about building your own inner security that will also allow you to extend empathy, but with boundaries. And that's an important distinction, because empathy without boundaries will take you down a rabbit hole when you're dealing with, say, a narcissist or a narcissistic personality. Empathy is the ability to understand and feel what another person is experiencing, to sense their emotional world and respond with care without making it about yourself. However, narcissism often stems from a deep internal void, and no amount of your empathy, care, or understanding can ever fill them, or your care for them can never change them. So in this space, I want you to learn that your empathy should be, say, like a window, not a door. You can look through the window to see and understand someone's experience, but the door of your own inner security is inaccessible. Or in the case of a door, it's locked so that they cannot come in and rearrange or remove your furniture. So a window, you're peering in, but you're not letting these narcissistic, harmful personalities in to change who you are. What esteem building does is it allows you to more quickly see when someone is not empathizing with you. Second, it allows you to call out their lack of empathy toward you. And third, it allows you to stay around only if they're actively, visibly, and consistently improving in their empathy toward you. And I mean, you want to see this done quickly. And you want to see this being done consistently. So I want to talk more. This is coming up for me right now, that sometimes we become the abuser against those who are in weaker positions than we are. Sometimes when we are, in positions like parents or just a variety of positions, supervisors, positions, when our esteem has taken a beating, maybe we internalize it and we become dismissive or uncaring of people who love us, like I said, so say like our children or people who are on our teams. And so what we begin to do is that we tax them in the way that maybe we've been taxed at some point. That needs some space and some care from us. They need care from us as they face, as they go out into the world. So I hope we can be thoughtful about that. I'm just trying to get across that we should be careful that we don't bleed on to the people who didn't cut us. Just because the world is hard on you doesn't mean you have to be the hard part of someone else's world. We have to catch that energy before it turns into a cycle of passing down the same trauma that we're trying to calibrate our way out of. Okay, so back to security in ourselves. Building it allows us to move through a white supremacist world without losing the core of who we are. Now, as for relationships, which I'm slow to talk about in the context of your self-esteem, because I really just want this to be about you and your growth and your development, independent of what your partner thinks about you. But I will say the obvious. Your self-esteem also impacts your relationship. But of course, that doesn't mean that you tolerate an unloving partner because of your low self-esteem. Although, imagine leaving a not so loving partner when you have low esteem. That's a demonstration of building your self-esteem. And you deserve that for yourself. The more secure you are in yourself, the less likely you are to seek validation from external sources. You stop hoping or expecting that they can tell you who you are. You realize that your experiences and the times that you push yourself to do uncomfortable things on a regular basis builds your skill set, builds your confidence, and builds your esteem. And building your skill set, confidence, and esteem makes you interested in maintaining balanced relationships. Offering genuine support to your loved ones can happen when you're not constantly battling your own insecurities. When our self-esteem is shaky, sorry about that, we protect those feelings. When our self-esteem is shaky, we project those feelings. My apologies. We project those feelings. We lead with misunderstanding. So we don't seek to understand. That's not the goal. We are instead intentionally, or maybe even unintentionally, usually more intentionally, because we are loving the drama of it all. We will lead with misunderstandings, or even in our communication, even in what we're saying, either in what we're saying, or we pretend not to understand what others are saying when we are struggling with our own esteem. When we're struggling with our own esteem, we feel a constant sense of competition. Calibration means we release the need to compete. We release the need to prove. Instead, we just are. This is an ongoing practice. It isn't a one-time fix, and it involves self-reflection. It involves surrounding yourself with people who actually see you when you can, or it might just involve reading, taking some time, journaling, taking some time with yourself. It involves celebrating your heritage. It involves celebrating your individuality while actively challenging that negative self-talk that tries to tell you you're too much or you're not enough. It means recognizing that your experiences are valid, recognizing that your voice matters. Your presence enriches any space that you occupy, and that's a fact. I'm taking a moment to hold space for that right now. So as I take a breath, I want to say that your identity is not defined by the limitations or insecurities of others. Your identity isn't some far off goal that you're chasing. It's just the truth of who you are when you stop trying to translate yourself for people who don't speak your language. It's knowing that you, not someone else, but you are entitled to self-esteem, you're entitled to dignity, and you're entitled to respect. You know, we have to release the idea that we must be perfect to be worthy. We're probably taught that something becomes real when others can't argue with it. But midlife teaches us that something becomes real when we stop denying ourselves. When you invest in yourself, when you honor your unique journey, you empower yourself. You also grow power in numbers by showing others that it is possible to exist without shrinking. So, thank you so much for joining me today. I truly hope this conversation was edifying. If you're here, subscribe. It's how we can stay in touch whenever I make a new video for your viewing pleasure and for your engagement. In this space that I call the inner room, we don't just survive here. Here, we're working to thrive. Stay centered, keep thriving, take care of yourself. I see you, and I'll talk to you again soon.